Alright, so there you go. I just want to grab that end real quick, see all the other little negative delusions, and now we're gonna get the second route, is what I'm gonna do. Let's see. How do I get the second route? Let me just look up my non-spoiler walkthrough. It says here, route number 2. Select all positive delusions and additional delusions. But do not choose positive delusions. Prepare for the culture festival in chapter 3. So same thing. Choose a bunch of positive ones, but then don't choose positive for one thing. Then... Oh, okay. I think it's around here. I believe it's around here. So don't choose positive for this one. So I mean, I can choose neutral for this one. I probably,
yeah.
In that case. Well, let me just save here. Yeah. Hina Takeru, right? Hina Takeru. Of course not. Only thing I can think of? Seeing the way she acted today, it was hard to believe that it was the same girl. Maybe. If if what I was imagining was the real her, then the reason she brought me here must be... It had to be... that. Okay, so we just choose a neutral option, I guess. Neither positive nor negative. And serious. I think this is the same though. Okay. Interesting. Well, there's like a very slight animation, I guess, when you choose neutral. The other ones just disappear, I guess. There's no delusion at all. Anyway, so skip most of that. No, I mean, I assume we skip the rest. And I don't know if there's anything else we can do, like any other positive delusions we can choose. I'm just wondering, like, when does it split? I'm not entirely sure. And whose route is this, by the way? I don't know. I mean, it's not spoilers, so I have no idea. Oh, achievement unlocked? What does that mean? Apparently I unlock achievement. Even though I got that scene before, I think. Let's see, I guess. I'm wondering, maybe I got that achievement because that's an indication that I got the route? Well, let's see. Kabloom! Fire! Fire everywhere! Alright, I assume this is the same. And Pandemic Call, a dance to Echoes Pass. Okay. So this is the part where I guess we ran away from Fire Lady. But instead of picking up Arumura, we're somehow at the school? Well, that's interesting. We just abandoned her. That's hilarious. I guess we'll... Do I save over Hinai stuff? I don't know if it matters, but just in case, I'll just save over here. So, well, it's kind of spoiled right there, but I guess this is the Hana chapter. Pandemic Call. Alright. What happened exactly? I ran after Adam before the woman could get up. Ran down many different alleyways and kept running everywhere. Alright, so... Again, this is where we get separated from Harumura, but this time I guess we don't really find our way back to her, instead we just go somewhere else. It was nighttime, but for some reason the back gate was open. I went in from there. I've been so desperate to get away that I hadn't even realized where I was. Maybe I come this way so many times that I just followed the path unconsciously. Lights were still on in the teacher's office and a few of the special classrooms. It was late, but someone might still be cleaning up after the culture festival. At some point, I had gotten separated from Narumura. That worried me. I imagined her screaming as she was burnt by a pillar of flame and almost threw up. No, that's overthinking things. It was impossible. It couldn't happen. Are you sure? Why were we attacked anyway? Was that woman after me or Arumura? Somebody tell me. She's very angry. You can always tell when the anime character is very angry, or at least having a very negative reaction to something when their pupils, their like eyes just get really small. My throat was parched. I hadn't even been running that long. It hurt to breathe. My strength was at its limits. The one thing I could be thankful for was that the horrible sensation caused by the sumo stickers were gone. For now, I decided to just head to the club room. It wasn't necessarily safe, but I at least wanted to catch my breath. And maybe Adamura will be there too. The door was unlocked and the lights were on. I quickly ran inside. I staggered inside and collapsed on the table. I wanted water. No matter how much I tried to breathe, my lungs demanded more oxygen. The room filled with the sound of me gasping for air. Nobody responded. Was Adamura not here after all? Why were the lights on? My throat was so dry that I choked when I tried to speak. I curled into a ball and spat phlegm out from my mouth. Only then was I able to raise my head and look around the room. Hey. Oh, here's Hana. She's still... I don't know. Is she still playing her video game? Or was she just cleaning up the club room or something? I don't know. Kazuki was there. She was standing in the corner of the room looking at me with wide eyes. That would explain why I thought no one was here. But what was Kazuki doing here at this hour? Has she come here after I left for home this afternoon? I thought about asking her, but before I could, I saw the computer monitor. I don't know why I thought. Just read that sentence weird. It was displaying the same game screen as always. Okay, she was just here, just playing her MMO the whole time. She was playing a game. How could she be playing a game when I was almost killed by that woman? How dare her, I guess. I choked again. I could only speak in a hoarse whisper. And, very like specific CG for her handing us a water bottle, I guess. She looks different for some reason. I don't know, I guess because her face is just drawn in a different way. She must have noticed how out of breath I was because she offered me a bottle of mineral water. If the cap was off, did that mean she'd been drinking from it? Oh no, indirect kiss. I wondered for a moment if it was okay to drink, but I wasn't in the position to be choosing. I snatched the bottle out of her hands and poured its contents down my throat. By the way, is this like references to like other games? Because I see here Last Fantasy. That's obviously Final Fantasy. What's this? Whisper of Block or Vanilla 2? Anyway. I snatched the bottle and drank up. I drank so fast that some of the water had got down the wrong pipe and I started to cough violently. I still felt a lot better than before. If this is the Hana route, is most of the route gonna be like her just going, I collapsed to the ground, unable to say another word. Once I calmed down, the terror from before came back and my body started to shake. I needed to hide somewhere. I couldn't be sure that this place was safe, and if it wasn't, Kazuki would be in danger. Kazuki seemed confused by my behavior. Also, I've noticed how, I was wondering, when you wear headphones like that, usually it'll be, hanging from your neck, but actually these headphones are on top of her boobs. So, there you go. It's kind of like that. It was that weird meme where you put, a drink on top of your boobs or something. Something like that. Anyway. She seemed confused by my behavior. Did she want to ask what was going on? I didn't think she cared about anyone else, but maybe she was nicer than I thought. She come to check on me when the others over the I can't read. She come to check on me with the others over the afternoon after all. But I didn't feel like I had time to explain. Just say that you were almost killed by, a firebender. It's easy to, like, consume. Anyway, first I had to get somewhere safe. I say consume. Like, comprehend? Absorb? That sound. Just wherever. Unlimited works. It was an eerie sound like something had exploded. You'd never hear that sound as part of your everyday life, but sometimes you'd hear it in fiction, like in movies or TV shows. It felt like it was far away, but it was hard to tell. I stood up and opened the window to look out.
Huh?
A car parked near the front entrance had exploded. Oh, okay, well. Black smoke was rising and the flames were illuminating their surroundings. A teacher had run out of the office and was yelling for someone to call a fire truck. Random car exploded. It's that woman. It was too dark to see from here, but I knew it. She was after me. Did that mean I was her target? Why me?
あなた殺されますよ。宮代拓先輩。
What? Well, I'm not entirely sure. Why did she say that, by the way? I mean, we went through the comment round and everything. Maybe I meant... maybe I forgot, but like, you know, why did she give us that ominous message? You know, well, maybe it's because she knew that psychics were being targeted. Well, yeah, I think it's that. I think it's because her friend, you know, got killed in the Love Hotel. That's why she was saying that. But then, how did she know that Takeru was a psychic? Unless she could just tell? I don't know. Anyway, at least at the time when she told us, anyway. Was it because I was a psychic? Ah, shit. As I went to leave the room, my gaze met Kazuki's. I didn't have time to explain.
Kazuki, 今すぐ帰るんだ。家にできるだけ目立たないように行くんだ。でも校門はダメだ。通るな。
That was all I had time to say before I fled into the hallway. Okay. How many people were still here in the school building? I'd heard what sounded like a teacher's voice down below. At times like this, a wrong-sider could do nothing but panic, which is what I'm doing right now. In fact, they often did stupid things that put them in even more danger, which I feel like Takeru has already done a few times already. Wait, wasn't that what I was doing right now? I felt like laughing for some reason. I just prayed that she wouldn't hurt anyone else. All I could do was pray and run. There was no sign of her in the hallway. I needed to head out of the main building and escape out the back. Kabloom! Kablam! I heard another distant explosion and felt what might have been the building shaking. The glass was vibrating. Are you sure it's the fire lady, or are you sure it could be Megaman instead? You know, she's just creating a lot of explosions. Kazuki ran out of the room too. She was trying to follow me. Why was she following me? If that woman was after me, she'd be in danger. But Kazuki ignored my warning and shook her head frantically back and forth, as if she was about to cry. I yelled, more for my own sake than Kazuki's, and started to run down the hallway. We crossed the connecting hallway to the main building. In the distance, I could hear someone yelling for people to get to a safe place. The area around the school was in chaos. It must have been the people who lived in the neighborhood. Why would she attract so much attention? Wasn't she trying to kill me? Even if she did manage to kill me, did she think she could escape with all these people around? Again, it kinda doesn't... I don't know. I feel like if these routes are non-canon, technically, or if this is all like a delusion as well, I was thinking like, again, like, what are these branches? These branches like causing different things to happen. Like, what is like the masterminds thinking, Sadaka and Sakuma? You know, what are they like telling her to do? Telling, you know, this person, Riko, I guess. What are they doing? You know, what are they like trying to like mind controlling her to do exactly. But I feel like it doesn't matter because I don't think it's gonna be explained, at least within the boundaries of understanding what she's trying to do during the whole murder case thing. I don't think it's gonna be important. But anyway, why is that woman trying to kill me anyway? Was she the one behind the murders? Or was she just a psychopath who was setting things on fire at random? One small thing, by the way, one criticism. There's gonna be a lot of criticisms, I feel like, but one criticism, like very small one, especially now that I'm going through these different routes, is the fact that Takeru's just repeating things, He's just saying, oh, why is she doing this? Is she the mastermind? Like, we've been through this already. I feel like the writer should have accounted for that, I feel like. Because we have, already went through the common. In fact, we could only go to this route after we went through the common route. So, like, we no need to go over the old material. But, oh well. Anyway, if she was, then what the hell? What the hell? I bit my lip and ran down the dark hallway. If it was this dark, it wouldn't be easy for her to find me. All I had to do was get to the bottom of the stairs at the other side of the building, then I go right past the library, then the track, and I reached the rear entrance. If I could make it out of the school while she was setting fire to cars at the front gate, I could escape. Kazuki tried her best to keep up with me. To be honest, she was slowing me down, but I was the one who ran into the club room. Part of me thought that was my fault for getting her involved, so I had no choice but to wait for her. I waited for her to catch up to me and start to dash down the stairs. But then... kaboom! This time I heard an explosion coming from the track outside. I could see crimson flames rising outside the dark window. We stopped at the second floor and started to run back to the main gate. First, she burned the cars outside the gate, then she headed for the rear. It was unlikely she'd head back to the front gate that quickly. Yes, they're like the double debate. They just keep going back and forth, It's kind of like how you're like walking on a sidewalk and like another person's like coming in your direction, so you try to like walk out of their way, but then they do the same. So you do the whole, you do the classic sidewalk shuffle. You just keep getting in each other's ways for like a million times. Kazuki was running out of breath. So was I, honestly. I was exhausted and haven't been running that long. But I didn't have time to rest. We ran past the cafeteria, then went down to the entrance on the first floor. The entrance was always open during the day, but now all the doors are closed and locked. They were the kind that you needed the key to open no matter which side you were on. Okay. Should I break a window? That'd be vandalism, You'd be charged. I looked outside for a moment and was astonished by what I saw. There's a lot of fire. The gate was sealed with burning cars. Burning! When I seen it from the room, there weren't any cars there. Has she moved them there to block the gate? Oh, that's interesting. How could you move all the cars unless you like drove them and then... But how did you like get into the cars? That's just weird. How'd she do that? Because as far as I know, Takeru's the only one with telekinesis. Or is that what we call it? To move objects anyway. Serika can like read minds, and Sakuma can like mind control. I don't know. Well, I guess you can mind control the drivers, maybe, to like, go in front of the gate. I don't know. Anyway, she moved to block the gate. Did she move the burning cars all by herself? That was crazy. And I could see a crowd gathering around the burning cars too. If I tried to force my way through, and that woman came back, just thinking about it terrified me. That psychopath wouldn't even think twice before killing them all. I couldn't leave by the main gate. It would be too dangerous to try and avoid her flames as I made my way through the crowd. I guess we'll just have to hunker down. I don't know. Kazuki flinched when I yelled.
悪い。別に和樹に怒鳴ったわけじゃなくて。
Where could we go? Should I head back out to the rear entrance?
そんなのダメに決まってる。
She was just out there. I'd probably run right into her. Calm down. Think. As I stood there, I could feel the fear crawling up my body. I came to this school every day, but it still felt like I've never been here before. Every shadow seemed like it might hide some danger. I was overcome with the idea that she might appear at any moment and I couldn't move a muscle. I mean, the doors are locked. For now anyway, so I don't think she came in yet. In my head, I knew that it'd be easy to find me where I was and that I needed to move. But I couldn't. I felt like my mind had been separated from my body. This was not good. I might die here. No, you already died a few times, you know, Takaru, so don't worry about it. Kazuki tugged lightly at my sleeve. And then I got a hold of myself again. My body was shaking, but I was barely able to move.
移動しよう。
We just needed to hide somewhere. I ended up coming to my own classroom. I closed the doors and crouched by the windows. Excuse. Crouched by the windows, using the desks to block myself from sight. Kazuki was looking at me concerned.
しゃがんで見つかるから。
Kazuki quickly ducked down under the desk. Now all we had to do was stay put and wait for the storm to pass. Now that's what you do during an earthquake, actually. You hide under the desk, usually. So, you know, any kind of like debris, you know, falling onto the floor doesn't directly hit you, at least, you know. Hopefully, anyway. I listened for any noises outside. I became extremely sensitive to even the smallest sound. Even a tiny noise was enough to make me start shivering. I hadn't heard any explosions for a while. As I sat there, cradling my knees in my arms, I felt the urge to scream from terror. I bit my lip to stop myself from doing it. Maybe it would have been a better idea to keep running around the school. I was too defenseless here. I was hidden, sure, but if she found this place, I was finished. This was the 4th floor, I couldn't jump out the window. If she trapped me in here, I was done for. Maybe this was a bad choice. The fear kept building. Yeah, well, kinda reminds me of something that happens if Fate Stay Night, you know, well, the main character hides in a classroom while he's being attacked, you know, it's kinda like, well, it's kinda a dumb idea, actually, to just hide in this room. The fear kept building. I couldn't stay calm. I wanted to run. But even if I did get out of the school, how long would I have to keep running? When would she give up? Was there any guarantee that she ever would? Maybe she'd keep following me until I was dead. Well, she has to, like, at least go to the washroom sometimes. Like, I assume she's still a human being. So, unless she ate fire, she had to, like, you know, she'll have to, like, get something to eat or drink eventually. She'll get tired. She needs to sleep.
どうしたらいいんだ。
Or otherwise, you know, isn't there like a fire extinguisher somewhere? I mean, usually in a lot of like public buildings, there's like a fire extinguisher. You could grab that real quick, you know? That's probably a perfect weapon, actually. Just put her out, you know? She's a fire type Pokemon. Just use the power of a fire extinguisher to, like, defeat her. Oh, I shuddered. I could hear the distant sound of heels. I could hear the faint sound of someone dragging their leg. Did she really get in? Yes. I feel like it's very unlikely, but I guess it's kind of like a horror survival game now. You know how like the monster just comes in and they're like hiding in somewhere, and they're slowly trying to find you. I thought back to when Adamura and I had been attacked less than an hour ago. Was she dragging her leg? I couldn't remember. But I felt sure of it somehow. Those footsteps belonged to her. Kazuki gulped. And also, she put her headphones on again, I think. That meant I wasn't imagining the footsteps. And they were closer than I thought. She was on this floor. She was walking down the hallway. She was getting closer. How did she know we were here? I clutched myself tighter. But I couldn't stop shaking. Did she know I was here? Or was it a coincidence? Should I stay here or should I move? But if I ran out now, she'll find me for sure. But there's no guarantee she'd just walk by my classroom. Either way, I was screwed. I was doomed. I was going to be burnt to death. I panicked and moved over to Kazuki.
パイロキネシスを使う女が襲ってくる。僕を狙ってるんだよ。
Okay, now he's explaining everything. She'd done that before, but Kazuki's eyes went wide as she finally understood the situation. You know, Takaru was saying like, it's no time to explain, but now he's explaining, and it doesn't seem like it took that long. You know, it's just one sentence. I skipped the explanation about what pyrokinetic powers were because I figured she might know from her games. Yes.
このままじゃ二人とも殺される。何か手はないか。何でもいい。知恵を貸してくれ。
Help me out, gamer girl. Use the power of your gaming skills to defeat the pyrokinetic. She was close. She was almost on top of us. All I could do was crouch and hold my head in my hands. This whole situation was insane. I was going to be killed without even knowing why.
頼む。助けてくれ。誰でもいいから。助けてくれよ。
Kind of reminds me of when Takaru was young, you know, when the earthquake and everything, you know, before he was awakened to his powers, he was saying the same thing, you know, someone help me, you know, that, you know, actually, well, as we know now, that's what caused this whole thing to happen in the first place. He was asking for help, I guess. And then
なんとかできるかも。
Kamo, I guess. That's her gimmick. She just says Kamo a lot. Maybe.
Kamo.
Kazuki stood up and looked down at me, her face filled with uncertainty. Oh, there's her sword. Is it like a whip sword? That was really fast, so I couldn't see the whole thing. What was that grotesque thing she was holding in her hand? It looked like some strange creature from the deep sea. There's some strings there. Is it like a musical instrument as well? I don't know. Actually, very unique sword. I kind of like this one. You know what? I keep like mocking, you know, all the D swords, but I kind of like this one. This one's more unique. Yeah, all the other ones are just weird anime swords, or not even weird. They're kind of like cliche actually. But this one is actually kind of unique. I don't know. This guy looks interesting. Like, I'm wondering, like, is this like a saw blade, or is it kind of like a whip sword? You know, like kind of like whips out or something. I don't know. Anyway. Or perhaps a spine ripped out of a human body. It was solemn, grave, and sharp, rejecting everything around it. With a radiant beauty that drew everything around it inward. It shone with the light of a paradox. The one thing I knew for sure somehow was that it was a sword. Was this a D sword? Did Kazuki have a D sword too? Everyone has these swords
カズキ、
these days.
お前喋った。いや、それよりその件。
I was confused. So much was happening at once that I couldn't keep up. I didn't know what to ask first.
屋上行けば。
屋上？
I wasn't sure what she was talking about or why she suddenly decided to start talking, but the footsteps were getting closer.
どうなるかわかんないけど、結果は保証できないかもだけど。 れでもいいなら。
So that was it. Kazuki was trying to save me. I stood up as silently as I could.
屋上に行けばいいんだな。
There's no time to think about it. Even if she couldn't guarantee what would happen, I didn't have any other choices. Fortunately, the woman had passed by our classroom and headed for another wing of the building. We were able to make it to the roof easily. Well, I mean, our fears about the pyrokinetic finding where we were, you know, that was like not really a thing. But instead, we snuck out. The roof of Hekiyo Academy was a garden. Of course, it was the first time I'd been here at night. Now wasn't the time for sightseeing, but I still gasped when I saw the view of Shibuya at night. I looked down over the fence and saw the front gate right below us. The cars were still burning and the crowd was getting bigger. The fire department was right nearby, but the fire trucks hadn't arrived yet. What was she going to do here? Was she going to use that sword to fight? That would be like something out of a manga or an anime, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I could imagine her trying to fight with that thing. And if she wanted to fight, there was no need to come to the roof at all. She could have just ambushed the woman in the hallway. Yeah. Now maybe because she needs a lot of space, you know, to use her like sword. I was also gonna say, you know, there's an anime of this visual novel, but wonder, is there a manga actually? Yeah, usually like, you know, when it comes to anime, usually the manga is the source or the light novel. But I assume Chaos Child is like a visual novel original, so I don't know if there's like a manga for it. I don't know. Was she trying to be chivalrous or something? You know, the one-on-one? Honor duel? No Estes?
隠れててもらった方がいいかも。
No items? Final destination?
どうするつもり？
Kazuki glanced at me but didn't answer. Instead, she walked toward the fence. And then, she grabbed onto the fence and took a deep breath. With no warning whatsoever, she screamed into the empty air.
はしご、防火扉、スプリンクラー。
Sprinkler?
Huh?
Huh? What was going on here?
屋上に牢屋。土砂降りの雨で火が消える。
Was she stupid? That's rude. If she yelled like that, the woman would hear us. Was she trying to turn me over to her? Yeah.
校舎に催眠ガス。
Okay, she's just saying a bunch of random things, I guess. I assume, well, from Aramura's route, we did learn that her power is fulfilling a wish or something. I guess very similar to Uki, you know, Yamazoi Uki? I'm not sure though. I don't know if it's the same.
警察の機動部隊出動。
Police mobile unit team, roll out!
消防車で放水。5台じゃなくて10台。
待てって。
I grabbed Kazuki by the shoulders and tried to make her stop, but she knocked my hands away. Even in the darkness, I could see tears in her eyes.
黙って。
Oh, that was weird. The second she said the words, I felt a pressure in my chest, like a cold hand gripping my heart. For some reason, I felt like I was being forced to fall silent. Is that what it is? I'm wondering, like, maybe, yeah, she has a very similar power to the, another victim in the murder case, you know, the one where she could control people with her voice or whatever. Is that why Kazuki, you know, is always silent? Because when she says something, it becomes reality if she says it out loud? I wanted to speak, but I felt like I had to stay quiet. I vaguely dreaded that if I said something, I'd be erased from the entire world. Be literally deleted. I staggered away from Kazuki, unable to find the words to say anything. Was this why she told me to hide? AK-47, we know what that is. It's a Kalashnikov assault rifle. That's a machine gun.
RPG.
That's a rocket-propelled grenade launcher. I know this. Claymore. Well, that's either the landmine or the actual sword, I guess. Every gamer knows these words. We don't need them in the tips section. Come on. What was she yelling anyway? I didn't understand at all.
Sensha.
A tank?
UAV.
UAV. Isn't that it's like a drone, right? I mean, I believe we see UAVs. I mean, I see UAVs a lot in the Metal Gear Solid.
攻撃ヘリコプタ
Or at least Metal Gear Solid 2, I think. There's a lot of drones, attack drones in that game.
ー。手榴弾。スナイパーライフル。
Sniper rifle. How about a Mobile Suit Gundam? You know, that'd be nice. Just summon the Gundam. And then she suddenly fell silent. She was thinking about something. I should just forget about relying on her. She's just crazy. I should get out here now. It was safe to assume that Kazuki's shouting had attracted the woman's attention.
氷雪系最強。
Ultimate ice weapon.
重力を自在に操る。
Ah, yes. Kazuki started to scream again, oblivious to my fears. I couldn't take it anymore. I looked down over the fence. The crowd was looking up and pointing at Kazuki. I looked over the other building too, but I couldn't see the woman from my current position.
相手は死ぬ。
She just dies. Okay.
俺杖系主人公。
God Mode Sue. Is that like a reference to Mary Sue, you know?
騎士。
Knight?
魔法使い。
Mage? Well,
忍者。
ninja. I was gonna say like mage. I guess, you know, Tosaka Rin just shows up. I mean, she was on the roof before. Maybe she just summons her from an alternate dimension. It's like Fate Go. She summons Ishtar, I guess. Well, I wanted to tell her to run away from me, but after she told me to be quiet, I felt this strange pressure not to speak. Doragon. Toru. Kyojin. The GM. I don't know if we're playing D&D. I just have to leave her. If the woman was after me, Kazuki was probably safe here. I knew that was just foolish optimism, but I didn't feel like I had any other choice. I refused to just die here. Sorry, Kazuki.
レア武器。ポータル装置。
I guess? This was a triumph. I'm making a note here. Huge success. A pyrokinetic is trying to kill us all. Also Excalibur, that's funny. Reminds me of Saber. Okay, now this is just a reference to Face Day Night at this point. Even though, well, Gaybog, well, you know, Gaybog is definitely from Irish mythology, but still, come on. In anime, that's gotta be a reference to Face Day Night.
草薙の剣。
Kusanagi no Tsurugi? What's that? What's that? Okay, I have no idea what this is. What is this a reference to? It feels similar, or it feels familiar. Maybe a lot of tips. A lot of tips. AK-47. It's the AK-47. M60, a machine gun. Rocket launcher. Claymore mine. UAV. Interesting. Unmanned aerial vehicle. Yeah, it's a drone. God Mode Sue. Internet slang for extremely powerful protagonist character. Oh, okay. I guess, you know, I like a mixture of God Mode and Mary Sue. Kind of probably like a very specific Japanese slang. They are immortal, invincible, and often extremely boring to read about because they just never lose. Guy Bulk, used by Kukalan and Celtic. Oh, is it Celtic? I don't know why I thought Irish. Or is it? I don't know. I'm horrible at my history. I can't tell what's the difference between Celtic and Irish because I'm an idiot. The only Celtic thing I know is Celtic. What was that? Celtic Guardian? Was it from Yu-Gi-Oh? Anyway. But anyway, Kusanagi no Tsurugi, also called the blade Ama no Murokumo, one of the 3 imperial regalia of Japan, currently kept in Nasuya Shrine. Okay, it's just like a famous Japanese sword, I guess, from mythology. Or at least, well, I guess it's real, but, you know, it's like from legends, I guess. Legendary spear, Guy Bulk. I guess it's not, I don't know, maybe it's not like a direct reference to Face Day Night, but when I see Guy Bulk, I think, you know, Lancer. I turned my back on Kazuki and headed for the door. But the door to the stairs exploded into flames right in front of me. Hot wind scorched my skin. It was too hot for me to even keep my eyes open. The unpleasant smell of smoke stung my nose. I heard a sound. It was the sound of the heels that I heard in the classroom a moment ago. Here she is. Yurusanai, yurusanai, yurusanai. The woman was standing in the fire, her long hair flapping in the wind. She was moaning something to herself. I'd run right into her. There's no place to hide. The staircase? No, the staircase was the one way down, and she just blown it up. This was it. I was dead. Dedu endu. Death magic. Healing magic, yes. Kazuki started screaming again. She was just screaming meaningless words down into the crowd below with her back turned to us. Now was not the time for this. Flame magic. Ice magic. Lightning magic. I couldn't move at all. And for some reason the woman wasn't moving either. She was just standing there mumbling to herself. That one hero? Ah yes. Okay. This is just isekai protagonists. I searched my field of vision for the D sword. I seen the last time we were attacked. If I could find it, I might be able to fight. But I didn't see any sign of it. Yeah. Report pyrokinetic for cheating. I kept chanting move, move, move to myself, but nothing started to float up or move on its own. Even if it did have some kind of power, if I couldn't use it now, it was worthless. I was helpless. I was defenseless. It was far too late for it to matter. Far, far too late. But Kazuki finally stopped screaming. Her shoulders slumped helplessly. She was back to her usual silent self. Suddenly everything was so quiet I thought I could hear my heart beat. I was so tense that I thought I might throw up. The stomach acid was working its way up my throat. I forced myself to swallow it back down. If I moved even the slightest bit when I vomited, the woman might attack. I couldn't move. Was I going to die? Kazuki was probably gonna die too, yelling useless words into the air. I felt pretty bad about that. Did Aramura make it out okay? Would Serika, Kurusu, and Ito be sad without me? I could hear Kazuki's whisper drowning in the howl of the wind. Nothing happened. It kind of reminds me of an RPG, If you use the wrong item, it's kind of like, well, nothing happened. And then the pyrokinetic woman took one staggering step toward me. Flames appeared in her hand. It was over. I bit my lip and clenched my fist, trying to ready myself for the pain that was to come. Of course, nothing would be enough to prepare me for it, but I felt like if I didn't do that, I'd collapse to the ground from fear. I don't know, me personally, I always underestimate how painful fire is, but I do believe it's one of the most painful ways to die, actually. Being burnt to death. For some reason, I don't know, the way I see fire, obviously I was never burnt alive, so I wouldn't know. But I wouldn't imagine fire to be all that bad, but it is that bad. It is actually really horrible, because you get burnt to death. Anyway. But then I heard an eerie, high-pitched noise from the moonlit sky. It was a maddening, painful noise, like the earth itself was screaming with agony. It was the kind of noise that made people look to the sky in fear. The woman froze. I looked back down from the sky in blank confusion at what I saw. No, it wasn't just confusion. The thing had appeared between me and the woman with no warning at all. Nani? What? Okay. What the hell was this? I am new. Is that? Well, it kind of reminds me of Chaldea, actually. You know, from Fate Go. It looks like something like a globe. I guess, what do you call it? Like Chaldeas? You know, with an S, I guess. Actually, I don't know how you say Chaldea. Like Chaldea? Chaldea? I say Chaldea because of CH, but I don't know. It was making a strange, slightly unpleasant sound like metal scraping against metal. It looked like a piece of modern art, but the rings on the outer edge were rotating and the perfectly hexagonal cube in the center was glowing softly. It wasn't here a moment ago. It wasn't part of the roof's decorations. It was impossible to believe it was real, because it looked like it was floating. Alright, is this a literal Deus Ex Machina? I seriously wondered if I was seeing things, but I wasn't the only one who saw it.
ポータル装置
Oh, okay, so portal device. Not exactly what we're thinking of, huh? It's not like a gun that you shoot, you know, that makes blue and orange portals, but I guess it'll do. Kazuki's words were a whisper. A portal device? What the hell? If she knew what it was, then that mean it was hers? So I guess, I don't know, I guess her like ability is just to randomly spawn things, you know? She can just spawn anything. That's how I imagine how Gigalomaniacs work in the first place, you know? Especially like Takuru's power. Assuming he's like one of the original Gigalomaniacs, I assume it's kind of like, you know, like a video game where you can just spawn anything you want. But I guess for Kazuki, it's not guaranteed. I guess it's just random. It's like you know, it's like random loot in like an RPG. Sometimes you get the item, sometimes you don't. But even she seemed to be shocked by his presence. The woman panted as if she was hyperventilating and then clicked her heels against the ground. The flames flickered in her hands. The fire exploded outward toward the strange object. The object was wreathed in a column of flame. But it didn't burn or melt from the heat or explode. It simply floated there. Maybe it really was an illusion, I thought. The woman looked frustrated. She raised her voice in a wordless scream, then tried to punch you with her other hand, and you probably shouldn't do that considering it's a portal device. Well, I could see the pallor of her face change in the light of the flames. She was frozen in shock. It wasn't just her expression, her whole body seemed as still as if she'd been encased in ice. The roaring flames began to disappear. I could see what looked like scan lines appear all across her body. Scan lines? Is this virtual reality? This is not a delusion. This was just VR. This entire visual novel was just us in VR this whole time. I rubbed my eyes, thinking I was hallucinating again. It was all a video game. A game within a game, I guess. No, well, she kind of exploded though. Weird. But in an instant, her body dissolved into tiny particles. Oh, we have blood all over us. Red blood splattered everywhere. It covered my body. It was so hot I thought I'd burn. Okay, she popped like a balloon. Alright. What the hell? What just happened? There's no trace of her body. There's nothing left of her except a spray of blood on my body and the ground. But Kazuki had caught a portal device was still there, making its strange noises. This feels like an SCP, you know? Still confused, I tried to touch it. No?
触ったら
Shouldn't do that.
ダメかも
Kazuki grabbed my arm and stopped me. She still looked sad.
転送装置かもだから演数2に出てくる
Oh, okay. They're in Empire Sweeper Online too. She made that virtual item into reality, I guess. That's her power. Or at least partially, I guess.
変数2転送装置
SO2 was the, or SOS, SES, I don't know, was it SO2 or ESO2 was the game Kazuki played all the time, right?
私 現実化しちゃったのかも。
Oh, yes. That's kind of, I don't know. At this point, it's like, whatever, fine, I'll accept it. It is kind of cool if you're a gigalomaniac. You can, like, make video game items cool. You can, like, make a profit, don't you think? You know? Just make, like, just use your mind powers just to make, like, iconic video game items become reality, and you could sell them on Amazon. I don't know. What does she mean? Maybe. Hey, wait, what does she mean by made it real?
あの女の人が消える時のエフェクト、同じだったかも。円数2でポータル装置使った時と。
Yeah, but did they explode in, like, a bloody mess, Kazuki?
エフェ
Is
ク
that
ト
normal?
エフェクトだって。
What does she mean by graphical effect? No, I knew what she meant. That wasn't the issue. I didn't understand what she was saying. It was like listening to words from another dimension.
ここはゲームの中じゃないんだぞ。
What about that, Takaru?
普通人は消えないし、人の体にエフェクトなんて出ないんだぞ。
うん。ここは現実。円数2の中と違って、ポータル装置がある世界じゃない。だったら。
Kazuki was a little hesitant, and there were tears in her eyes as she spoke.
あの女の人、どこ行っちゃった？
The woman had disappeared right in front of me. Well, you see, Kazuki, there's this thing called telefragging, you know? It was like she'd been dissolved into tiny little pieces, so I guess it's not exactly that. Anyway, whose blood was on my clothes and on the ground?
私、取り返しのつかないことしたかも。
Maybe. The words were vague, but she covered her face with her hands and fell to the ground crying. It's kind of her own fault, though. She didn't have to, like the you know, what's her name again? Rico, you know? Rico didn't have to, like, touch the portal device. She didn't even have to, like, destroy it. She could have just ignored it and then just fought us, but I guess she couldn't tell if it was, like, a weapon or anything, so she had to make sure, I guess. You know. She didn't have to touch it. Next to her, I vomited from the smell of blood. The woman was dead. I didn't know why exactly, but I felt sure of it. I felt no relief of having survived. I'd long since given up trying to take in everything that was going on around me. Shortly afterward, Kazuki and I had fled the school. I could walk through Shibuya in blood-covered clothes, and I wanted to stay out of sight. As I wondered what to do, Kazuki pulled me by the hand.
うち来てかも。
Alright, just go to her place?
カズキ。
Why not? I didn't ask her why her Japanese was so weird. Where was her house? What if her family found me? I didn't have the energy left to ask. Kazuki looked exhausted and frightened. I was sure I did too. Okay, this is her place, I guess. I didn't realize how nice the Hikigo student dorms were. It was nothing like Alba dorm. The room did smell a little like squid, though. She eats a lot of squid, I guess. The student dorms were about a 5-minute walk from the school. Okay, so it's not like her, like, actual house, but rather her dorm room. I guess she sleeps in a bunk bed. Kazuki says she lived here alone. How convenient. The dorm rooms were like suites at an extended stay hotel. All rooms were private, and there was no dorm mother to make meals or do anything else.
人目を避けるには最適か。
Just wondering, she's a laptop and a bigger computer monitor, I guess. I guess it's well, I assume her PCs is like her gaming PC is inside that desk thing. What do you call it? Drawer thing. Anyway, just looking for anything interesting. Pretty normal, really. I don't know what this is. A bunch of like pins. Oh. I didn't have enough energy to go back to the RV. I didn't want to see anyone right now. Instead of changing or sitting on the bed, Kazuki went to a corner of the room and crouched down. I sat on the floor a distance away from her. I brought my knees up and buried my head in them. Suddenly, I was starting to shiver. When I closed my eyes, I could see the flames, and the look on the woman's face in the last second of her life. How wonderful would it be if all that, from the pyrokinetic weapon to the attack, even Kazuki talking, was just a dream? I clutched myself tighter, trying to stop myself from shaking. Again, I don't think you should feel so bad. I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an analogy, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like you didn't deliberately try to kill her, is the thing. It was her own fault, you know? It's kind of like, you dug up this hole, there's like warning signs, you know, don't step in this hole, and then the person step in the hole, I don't know. And then they died, or something. Kazuki started to cry. I remember reading in Cool Cat Press about how to seduce girls when they were feeling down. Man, really, Takaru? But I didn't feel like trying that out at all now. Okay. I couldn't come up with anything else to say to make her feel better either. I didn't have good enough social skills, and I didn't feel up to it anyway. So all I could do was pretend I didn't see her. Yeah, she's invisible. But even after 30 minutes, I could still hear her crying. Then for some reason, she slowly stood up and headed for the front door.
和樹、どこ行くんだ？だけじゃわからない。
やっぱり警察話した方がいいかもって。
You turn yourself in? How are you gonna explain that? You summoned a portal device?
私
Killed someone?
殺したかもだから。
待った、落ち着け。
I quickly ran over to her and grabbed her by the shoulders. Kazuki lost her balance and fell into my arms. Yes. I fell backward too and was unlucky enough to knock my back up against the low table. I writhed in pain for a minute, unable to breathe. As I waited for the pain to subside, Kazuki slowly got off of me and sat down next to me.
使いたくなかった。こんな結果になるかもって予想できてたから。
和樹のせいじゃない。
That was all I could say. I didn't want to think about whose fault it might be then. It wasn't my fault either. Well, indirectly, it is kind of Takuro's fault. He was the one who brought, the pyrokinetic to the school in the first place. That woman was the one who attacked me. I tried to tell myself this, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Okay, hand holding, mood. Kazuki put her hand on top of mine.
先輩、手握ってほしいかも。
Disgusting. It was tiny and soft, and I was so happy to feel its warmth. I held her hand tightly, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Kazuki lowered her head and started to cry again. But she and I were in a state of agitation right now. We needed to take some time to calm down. It felt like the best thing to do. We stayed like that for a while, holding each other's hands, and then we both fell asleep. My God. Unprotected hand-holding. I didn't dream that night. Instead, when I woke up, it was bright outside.